Yeah, I'm Chad Fedewa. I'm the wildlife biologist at the Rose Lake Field Office. A hunter harvests a deer, they bring it to a check station, and we collect information on where the deer was shot. We'll be able to age it by looking at the teeth, tooth wear and tooth replacement. We're able to determine the age on the deer. If it's a buck, we take antler measurements, and we're also collecting samples for chronic wasting disease testing. So we remove the head from the deer to take that sample over to the lab at MSU, where they remove lymph nodes from the deer's head and neck area, where they then submit those for testing to determine whether it's got chronic wasting disease or not. We have been doing this specifically for CWD in this area for the last 2 deer seasons. We found our first positive wild deer in 2015 in Ingham County, and since then we've been doing a lot of testing in the area. We've been testing statewide for it since 1998, but we hadn't had any positives turn up until last year. It's an interesting disease. It's not a virus or a bacteria. It's actually a mutated protein that's the infectious agent. So these proteins can actually survive in the environment for years. So a deer sheds it through bodily fluids, through urine, feces, saliva. They can transmit it to other deer through those bodily fluids, but also it can be deposited in the environment, where it can stay viable for years, like I had mentioned, and deer could come along several years later even and ingest that and become infected. So once the disease is established in a deer population, the prevalence rate of the disease will increase significantly over the years. But there's several other states that have been dealing with it for even decades, and some of those areas they have prevalence rate of over 50% of the deer in some areas have CWD. So we're hopeful we got on it early enough. We might be able to either eradicate it in the area or keep it contained to a small geographic area. So our sampling right now, we're trying to determine geographically where this disease might be, how far it's spread out, and also how many deer in the population might have it, what the prevalence rate would be. We try to focus, if we have a known positive, we try to target those family groups of deer. So deer in a family group are more likely to interact with each other and are more likely to become infected if they're interacting with other positive deer. So if we have a known positive, we can go in and target and remove deer from those family groups and try to remove any positive deer on the landscape to try to reduce future infection to other deer.